Hi, welcome back to another Insider. This week we're going back to our regular sessions in English. No more special schedule at the moment. And we are talking about something that is very important if you run a business, not only a translation business, but any business for that matter, which is leadership. What is to be a good leader? And does being a boss mean being a leader? We would like to think it does, but unfortunately reality tells us otherwise. So stick around and let's talk leadership. So in recent years, we have seen, and it's something that we always assume that a boss is a leader. Well, it should be. That's certainly the expectations that we have, but unfortunately, that's not what always happens. And in recent years, with pandemic and everything, we have noticed that a lot of companies have this issue, and if you go to social media forums, professional social media forums, like for example LinkedIn, you see an increase in posts and comments about leadership and about how companies sometimes fail on this role, on the role of leadership. So what is to be a good leader, and is that the same as being a boss? Well, in my view, no, it's not the same as being a boss. You can be a boss, and a lot of people are in these positions and they are not leaders, and that's where the problem lies. Well, as you know, I now work alone, but I've been leading a team of translators for almost 10 years, and I've always had these ideas, and I've always had this in mind. A leader needs to be someone that empowers the team, needs to be someone that is there for the team and that lets the team develop and participate and have a positive input on everything that is done. If you don't allow your team members to participate in the discussions, and if you're just there to delegate and to tell them what to do, then you are not a good leader. That would be one of a boss, that old conception of a boss. So, and that creates all sorts of problems, because if you don't allow, every single person has a place in a company, and every single person has good and bad ideas, obviously, but that happens with all of us. And if we are living in a team, if we are working in a team, and if we allow everyone to have an input, everyone to have an opinion, and say, oh, well, I just had this idea, why don't we do this? And if you actually validate every single team member and you listen to what they have to say, it just creates a positive environment within the company, a positive environment within the team. And the person will feel valued, the person will feel validated. And that's great, because they will come up with more ideas. And actually, I would say two heads think better than one. And if you have a team, let's say, of 10 people or 5 people, whatever people it might be, if each one of them has an idea about solving a particular problem, of course not all of them will come up with the best idea. Of course not all of them will come up with a solution, but the solution may be a combination of all those ideas coming from every single one of them. And I think that's important to take on board and analyze all of these things. A good team leader, a good leader is someone that actually empowers the team, is someone that is there to lead the way. The same way, if a new member comes along, or if any of the existing members have any doubts or have any issues, the role of the leader is actually showing them, no, this is how it's supposed to be done. I'll show it how you should do it. Is someone that knows how to do it. Unfortunately, And in that old conception of a boss, it just sits on a desk, it just tells you what to do, but if you have any issues, they just tell you, no, you paid to solve it. No, that's not how it works. At least that's not how I see it working. I think a leader, I think a boss is someone that actually knows how to do it, that has a deep knowledge on how to solve these matters and how to deal with the different problems of the company, and is there to lead the way. If there is a problem, that boss should be there showing them the example. This is how it should be done. That's what being a leader is. I think that's something that will have a very positive input in the company. It will have a very positive input in the teams that you have within a company. If we're talking about a major company, of course, I'm not talking in the context of, for example, our small translation business. However, for example, if you decide to go and have your own, let's say, translation agency, you will have different teams. You will have the teams of project managers that deal with different projects, that they will have to deal with your clients, and they will have to deal with your translators, and they will have to make the connection between these two people. Those project managers that you hire, they need to be leaders. They need to be people that are highly qualified to understand both parts and understand that the translation, how the translations are done, what is needed, everything, so they can contact the best translators. They need to know everything, for example, localization issues, all these little issues that may occur when you're dealing with translation projects. And the people that are hired to be project managers in your company, if you decide to have an agency, they should know exactly what the client needs, what are the needs of that end client, what they need to do to get done. So when they actually go and contact the translators, they will tell them, oh, well, this is what we need, and then go from there. But unfortunately, and in our translation industry, we also see that there's a little bit of a lack of leadership in here, and especially with the devaluation, and I have already done a video about this, with the devaluation of the role both of project managers and translators in this, it end up going into a situation where I think sometimes there's bad blood in both sides and doesn't work. So I think part of this issue, and I've mentioned this before, is this new calling of project managers being called vendor managers and translators being called vendors. They are not vendor managers. They don't deal with products. We are not vendors. We don't sell products. So I think part of this lack of understanding on both sides is because of that. It's when you are devalued, when your job is devalued, when you're when what you do and the quality of what you produce is devalued, obviously you end up having some sort of resentment towards things, and this is what doesn't work. So there needs to be leadership here. There needs to be someone that takes the high stand and say, no, this is not the way it works. Let's call things the way they are. Let's put these teams together. Let's put a project manager working with the translators. Let's call everyone by their actual roles. The project manager deals with between clients and translators. The translators do the job, and everyone works, and this is empowering everyone and creating a positive environment. This was just an example in our industry with agencies where things are not working well because of something that is actually causing issues, I believe, everywhere. So, and in a company is the same thing. You have teams, and these teams, if you have a good leader there, if you have someone that is there to empower the team, to listen to the team, to take on board everyone's input, and then decide, being democratic, and decide within the team, okay, we have such and such ideas, we have as many ideas from all these people, let's look at all these ideas and let's set up what's best for this particular problem. How do we solve the problem? We have a pool of ideas here already from all of you. Let's see which one is the best. And sometimes it might not be just one person that gave that idea. Sometimes it's a combination of several ideas. Okay, that would work in part of it, but doesn't solve the problem. But it's good if we combine these two. And this is what a good leader should do. Listen to all the ideas, listen to all the things. Nothing is set in stone, and sometimes, yes, sometimes there is procedures that need to be followed. Of course there is, and of course they must be followed. However, sometimes another person comes with an idea, why don't we change this a bit? And that's what creates changes, that's what creates innovation, that's what creates evolution. It's when new ideas are put forward and those ideas are discussed and new methods are developed. I think this is positive for companies and this is positive for employees, for the teams, for everyone. I think this is a positive step. If we have a good leader, we have everyone along the line has a positive environment, and obviously they will produce more. I certainly believe a good leader will mean great productivity, because if you work in a positive environment, if you work in a company where you listen to, where your ideas are taken on board, and what you do is actually valued, you will work better, you will produce better because you are happy with what you do. Of course, if you're just there and if you treat it like a number, of course you're not going to produce because you will feel depressed. You feel that you're just there for the sake of it and you're not there to be valued and to be listened to, and your work is not valued at all. So this is what we have at the moment, and this is what we need to change. So for today, I hope you really like this insider. I hope it really gave you an idea of what leadership is about, because I think sometimes there's a little misconception about what leadership is and what being a boss is. And of course, I hope this helps seeing what can be done. I believe that there's a lot of change happening as well. And after these two very disruptive years that we had, I believe things may be changing, and there's changes happening, especially because now a lot of and there's been actually given a name, the big dismissal, something like that, not dismissal, the big resigning, something like that, because a lot of employees that weren't happy with the places that they are now changing companies and looking for better opportunities and all of that. And I think part of this big resignation, that's what it is, I just remembered the right term, the big resignation. I think the main reasons for this big resignation, it's lack of leadership associated with obviously low salaries and things like that, leads into this big resignation. So if we want to fix the big resignation, if we want to keep the employees, if we want to keep these people working for us, and if we want to value these employees, well, we should start looking at what can we do in terms of leadership, what can we do in terms of valuing those employees, valuing those team members, and obviously make them stay, make them feel happy, make them feel valued, so they stay. Sometimes it might not just be about salary, obviously it is, and especially in this current situation. Money is everything, because obviously we all have bills to pay, we all have mortgages, rents, electricity bills, everything. But also the environment where we work with, it's also important. And if we have a look at this, a good manager, a good leader, a good entrepreneur has to look at this and see, okay, what can I do? What changes can I do to make my company a much better environment for my team members and make them happy, make them stay, and empower them to do their job the best way they can. I think that's the secret. At least that's how I see it. I hope you like it. If you have any ideas, if you, for example, if you are working in a leadership role and you are implementing things like that, or even better than what I've just said, please share. It's always good to hear from you. Or if you have been working in a company where you don't feel very valued and you would like to share as well, please do. I always like to hear everyone's input, because I think, again, that's part of the leadership. We can hear everyone's input and then make our own conclusions and actually learn and evolve. I think that's the secret of life. That's how I see it. So, put a like on the video and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you get a notification of a new insider every week. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching. See you next week. Have a good one. Bye.